And I'm Chris Red. There we go. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you about that. We are really excited for our event tonight. It's been an amazing turnout. As we get started tonight, we wanted to just give you a brief intro of Network and Chill. We started this 2 years ago, really to bring together the entrepreneurial community, storytell our backyard of companies here and entrepreneurs and executives in the city. And we're really excited to have this first in-person event in 2021. We all thank you all for coming out and supporting. As we get started, I just want to give a couple of shout outs. We have some great sponsorships in the room tonight and partnerships that make this amazing event happen. So first, I want to bring up Paul Ford from DS9 Capital.
I like the vibe here. That's the first thing that hit me coming through the door. Glad you could all come out. I really don't want to do a lot of talking. I want to do a lot of listening. The content today, it's very inspiring. Both Ebony and Jet magazines were things that I looked at growing up, and that gave me the vision for who I could be in the future, and I'm fulfilling that. I own DS9 Capital. We help entrepreneurs, largely focused around insurance technology and fintech, get a start and not have to deal with venture capitalists and private equity. We do it much smarter. So just trying to embrace that, build community around that, upward mobility for all kinds of folks, especially the kind of folks that's in this room. So that's all I need to say. I want to listen. So appreciate the support and supporting these guys here, putting this event on.
Huge shout out to Paul. Thank you for supporting. Thank you
Appreciate
for the partnership as well. And next, Megan Shaver from Louisville Scoop.
Thank you. Hi, guys. So I just want to say thank you guys for coming out tonight, and I'm super excited to hear you, Eden. I come from digital, and so everything that I do is digital based, and so just hearing everything that you have to say about coming from print to digital is everything that I need to hear right now. So I work at Wave 3. I own Louisville Scoop as well. So I'm the founder of that, and everything that we do is online. Yeah, so thank you guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And last but not least, we really want to shout out the space, the opportunity to be in this space. This is a gorgeous venue, the hospitality they are showing us. I heard some questions earlier about not only this space upstairs, but also downstairs as well. So I have my good brother Art coming to give you a great quick background on that. Thank you.
Hey, how y'all doing? Thank you for coming to Lafayette Biscuit Lounge. We're not open tonight. We're having staff issues just like Chipotle, McDonald's, Burger King, everywhere. We are open from 11 to 5 every day. So you guys are more than welcome to come shop then. Again, thank you so much.
And like Chris said, when we first started this, there wasn't a space for us to congregate and have an event like this. So that's why we started Network and Chill. And it's just awesome to be able to do this and have this event and for you all to show up. So I want to say thank you all for being a part of this growth and just being a part of this environment and the Network and Chill. Thank you. And without further ado, I'd like to invite our guest of honor, Miss Eden Bridgeman Sklenar. And I got it right.
We did it. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for joining us today.
No, thank you. And thank you for everyone for coming out here. I haven't lived in Louisville since 2009. So it's always great to have reasons to come back here and be with friends and family and just feel this Louisville love that I sadly had to move away from, but always feel it whenever I am all over the world. You know, Louisville is always home.
I think it's the perfect spot to start. We really want to just hear your background from, maybe from a young age to where you're at now, and even to the evolution into your new roles. And just give those who don't know a picture of Eden.
Oh gosh, I feel like, it's going to take us a little longer to go through my journey, but
start out with the Mill shout out.
I know, yes, Louisville Mill High School for any Bulldogs up in here. But I wasn't born in Louisville. I actually was born in Los Angeles, but I grew up here in Louisville. I went to University of Louisville for undergrad, Upon graduation, I think like so many, you're like, I need to get out of Louisville. I can't be here any longer. What does Louisville have at, when you graduate? So I had the opportunity to move to Chicago. We had recently, for our family business at the time, had expanded our footprint as far as owning and operating Chili's restaurants. So I moved to Chicago and worked out of our Chicago office. Was there for 6 years, got my MBA from Loyola, found my husband, born and raised Chicagoan, and then our life took us to Columbus, Ohio, and we've been there ever since. And for career-wise, I guess, I started working for our family business. It was not at all what I thought I was going to do. I thought I was going to move to New York and conquer the fashion world and be the next buyer for Saks or Neiman Marcus, but life and God's plan, that just wasn't what I was destined to do. So I moved to Chicago, as I said, and started working for the business in marketing for our Chili's restaurants and have been kind of in our family operations ever since, and even Ebony and JET now as part of our family business.
Love it, love it. That's so exciting. So talk us through the first steps as your marketing and getting into the family business. I think it's a lot of times challenging already walking to a family businesses and then walking into the mindset of entrepreneurship. So what were some of those early learnings that you had as that role, and how has that changed today from when you started?
Well, I would say I would have to first start with thanking my mom and dad. They really laid the groundwork as far as really understanding what does it mean to own and operate a business. So many times with family operations, people think that you automatically start in the C-suite. But for us, my siblings, we started as janitors. I have dropped fries at our Wendy's locations. I've waited on tables. I've done it all in order to understand what the blessings that we were going to hopefully one day have as leaders within our family business. And that really started from my parents and them wanting to make sure that we were always grounded, first grounded in faith, and then grounded in the humility of understanding each role within our organization, as menial as other people might look at it from the outside, has purpose and has meaning. And those individuals that provide their time and their expertise to us, we needed to understand what they did. Not to say that that was what we were going to do in life, but if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to understand your business. And if it means you're that janitor, you better be the best janitor for your business. So for us, that's where we started. And I think that's what's carried myself and my siblings through each step of our career.
I think that's so important to raise your kids, not only to be, in an executive position or whatever, or wherever you are, but to show them that path from, like you said, janitor to the C-suite. Can you talk a little bit more about what that kind of looks like? Like, what was that like as a kid? Like, what was that pressure like growing up? Like, knowing, like, okay, one day I'm supposed to be you. What was that like?
Well, I can tell you, my mom's in the audience, and she will say, we probably hated and probably gave her so much grief of, why do we have to do this? The other kids don't have to. Why do we have to? But I truly have to thank her and my father for those lessons. And they also gave us the opportunity to do whatever we wanted. There was never any pressure for us to join the family business or even be in business. If we wanted to be teachers, if we wanted to be astronauts or whatever it might be, they said first education. So my siblings and I, we all have advanced degrees. So we all had to make sure that we had the education first. And then it was on us to work hard. That was what they said. If we were going to be a teacher, you were going to be the best teacher. Now, I will not lie. Obviously, my father casts a very large shadow. And, the aspects of having to follow someone who not only had a career as a professional athlete, but then also a career in business that has been quite successful. I think the challenge is always, where do I fit in that? And that obviously takes a lot of trial and error and making sure that you listen to yourself. One of the things people like to ask me is kind of what is your way of staying focused? And I think so many times we don't allow ourselves to just sit and be silent. How many times throughout the day are we on our phone? Most people, I love to tell the story of my father in the sense of, well, I say it's a two-part. One, in order for him to be successful as a pro athlete, after games, he practiced. It wasn't that, yes, you have natural ability, but you have to develop it. You have to put in that practice. So as entrepreneurs, what is your daily practice that you have to do in order to set yourself up for game time? I look at everything that he has done, even, and it's one of our favorite things to tell people about him, is once he finished his career and he was owning our first Wendy's, he works within those Wendy's. So imagine a 6'5", pro athlete flipping hamburgers, obviously, recognizable, and people coming in and saying, oh, wow, that is so terrible that, Junior Bridgeman, what happened to him? Little did they know that he was owning it, and he was doing his daily practice of being in the restaurant with his people, learning the business and doing what was needed in order to grow to the portfolio that we've been blessed to have.
And that speaks to the culture. So what he was doing there was building the culture within that one restaurant and then carrying on that culture to all the other Wendy's and, you know, building that legacy and that culture amongst his, Manna, as a business. So I think that that's something to speak to is the culture that we're building. And even for you as a strategist and a leader in marketing and the culture and talking about that moving into, I guess, our magazine talk, from print to digital. So what is your vision? Start out with for the magazines and like what made you decide to that was, you know, the next journey, the next challenge for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, going from being CMO for a food and beverage company to now being in media and doing that during COVID, only God. I mean, truly, like only God would have been like, yeah, I think that's your next step in life. But the opportunity came July of last year during a family business meeting. We do those pretty much quarterly where we get together. It's a chance for us to hear what our parents are thinking for the business, for my siblings and I to bring ideas and just kind of talk about where the business is. So my father presented this opportunity and I just said, why not? Like, this sounds so amazing. Like so many of us, whether you were in the barbershop and you saw page 43, we all know what that is, all over the windows, or if you were underneath the hair dryer, probably for those 2 hours, you were flipping through an Ebony magazine and you got to see yourself. And so the idea that my family was in the position financially to be able to acquire these brands, sadly out of bankruptcy, I just felt that this was a moment for me to step out and to look for this to be another legacy play for our family. We look at Ebony and Jet as twofold when we say legacy. First, that this will be an extension for more growth within our family's business portfolio, that we will be able to provide more opportunities for hopefully people of color to better their lives, better their families. One of the things we say about our business is that we're people first. We just so happen to, and then fill in whatever that is, whether it's hamburgers, whether it's being a bottler distributor for Coca-Cola, and now for Ebony and Jet. Second, we were hoping that this would be an opportunity for people of color to again see themselves the way that we did with Ebony and Jet. We came out of 2020, I think, with eyes that are wide open to the disparities still that plague our community. So if Ebony and Jet can be that North Star, can carry on the torch of making sure that we are shown in our best light and that we have an opportunity to show that next generation what it means to be Black and bold and brilliant and beautiful, then it was on us to make sure that we were able to bring those brands back to life. So that's really what was driving my thought process and our family around acquiring Ebony and Jet.
Yeah, really, really exciting, because when we saw the acquisition, we were quite excited because we just know the legacy of those magazines and what they mean to us and our communities. And now you're at a stage now you're almost operating as a new brand, rebranding, almost as a startup,
Yeah,
right?
it is. Yes, we had no employees when we acquired. It was intellectual property, so it's brick by brick. Yep.
It's brick by brick. You're at the evolution, the very beginning stages, like many in this room are today. And how are you thinking about that rebrand and the first steps of your startup right now?
Well, the first thing we had to do was find someone who understood the business. Like I said, we weren't in media, we weren't in journalism, so we had to find someone that we could bring on to really understand and to help us take our vision of where we were hoping or are hoping that Ebony and Jet will. If you have not heard her, please follow her on social media. She is beyond dynamic and truly a visionary and my right hand person. And again, through the power of Black Women Network, honestly, that's how we met, because we didn't know each other prior to getting in contact about this possibility. But then it really was finding the team, because you have to make sure as entrepreneurs, yes, you have to be that leader, but we talk a lot about servant leadership. And that idea, again, of my father working alongside his employees, that we operate with an inverted pyramid, that the customer, that the guest is always number one. CEO and the leadership team is on the bottom. Because honestly, if I don't treat my guests well, if I don't treat my employees well, who's going to come into my establishment and who's going to work for me? So they always have to be number one. And so for us, it was finding that team who can wrap their arms around this vision. Because for me, Ebony and Jet are more than magazines. They are 75 years of our history woven through the global footprint. So many times we want to say through American history, but Ebony and Jet are global. So for us, we have to look for those opportunities to take these brands past what you ever thought that they could be. And so for us, it's finding that team to embody that and be that servant leader in order to see that vision come to fruition.
Yeah, and you talk about Ebony particularly being like that North Star for Black families and Black vision and like setting that vision for families. So where do you feel like that we lost that, and what do you feel like was the downfall of, that vision for the magazine?
Yeah, I think, it's sad that Ebony and Jet weren't able to transition as the times were changing. We like to say BET should not exist, because Ebony and Jet should have been able to find that natural progression to go on TV and do films and content and commerce outside of just, fashion fair, cosmetics and things like that. It should have been where they ascended as times changed. And that's where so many times, and even if you're in a family business as a Johnson family and Linda Johnson as the heir to her father, John Johnson, who started everything, she, sadly, her team just could not see the writing on the wall. And as mediums change, so many times African Americans, we are the trendsetter, but in business, we don't set those trends in order to make sure our business is ready for the next change. And for us, we really talk about what is the future. Where do we need to be 5 years from now? And how do I operate in that right now? Because if not, I might as well just go to Chicago where all the magazines are once a month and just flip through them and ooh and ah, and then go back to doing something else, because we'll have the same fate as everyone else if we don't have that vision.
Fully agree. Innovation and technology is moving so quickly, and you have to be ahead of the trends and be on time for the trends. So I love that strategy and how you all are taking that vision now. I see that playing out with also partnerships already too. So Bloomberg is one of your partnerships. Now, how do you approach those partnerships at this time? And, how do you decide, this from a cultural aspect, who do you want to partner with?
Well, number one, Black is hot right now. So if people aren't calling you, I don't know what to tell you, because right now, every company doesn't want to be the one that is shown that they have no diversity inclusion plan. So any business owners out here, use that to your advantage, because I can tell you we are strong arming companies left and right saying, you really don't want us to be the one saying that you didn't want to do business with us. So that's probably not in your best interest right now to do that. But no, when you look at partners, and especially when your partner doesn't look like you have to make sure that if it's a, Fortune 500 company or even a local, say mom and pop, do they have anyone that looks like you? Where are they putting their money in the sense of their clientele? Do they really, is it lip service, or are they about the action? So one of our first partners was P&G. And before we had anyone but Michelle and I in our dreams of what this was going to be, they called us and said, we are in, we want to help you, we want to lift. And the person behind that wasn't one of us. It was Mark Pritchard, who is their global, the global brand, chief brand, one of those big titles. But yes, he is an ally, and he is investing in us. And so it's key for us to find those allies. Yes, we want our community to be the ones that are given those opportunities, are able to see themselves through Ebony and Jet. But we have to have those allies, and money is green. It's not black, it's not white, it is green. And so everybody has it and I want it. So that is our strategy. But again, you have to make sure that it's not lip service, that they're willing to do the hard work. And Black media is not easy. Most of the time we get zero funds. We're having to fight for the $1 amongst us. So even we've collectively as a group, with the other, Black Enterprise and Essence and everything, have said enough. We will not be divided. You will not allow us to fight for $1. We all equally should be given our funds in order to prop up what we're doing for our community.
No, that was awesome. So as you're moving forward with the magazine and your vision and going from print to digital, what does innovation look like, and what does the next 1 year, next 2 years, what does that look like for the magazine and bringing back that culture and that vision to families?
Yeah, so our new tagline is moving Black forward. We want to utilize Ebony and Jet to move our community forward. Now, how we're going to do that is, first, we said we have to shore up ebony.com. So everybody here, pull out your phone and go to ebony.com and sign up for our newsletter. So number one, we have to make sure that our storefront is there. It's what most people kind of find us either through ebony.com or through social media. So we have to make sure that footprint is strong. From there, I promise you, you're going to see us everywhere through creating content. We have soft launched Ebony Studios in order to make sure that you see imagery, not only again through a magazine or online, but through when you're watching Netflix or Hulu or in the movie theater, or even hopefully our own major studio and the plans that we have around that. Commerce, obviously, people want to wear Ebony. They want to feel it. They want to experience it, as you did, having that magazine on your coffee table. Like it was second to the Bible. It was the Bible, and then you had Ebony, and then you had Jet. That was on the coffee table. But for us, we also, when you talk about innovation, those are the easy. Content's easy. Commerce are easy. We actually just had Ebony Power 100 over on, was that last weekend? Sorry, I know. I have a 5-month-old at home, so you have to excuse me as far as what timing, of the day it is. But on that stage, we actually announced as the last thing for those attendees that we were coming out with our own NFTs, and that Ebony was going to move into the cryptocurrency space. Because Ebony, thank you. Because why not? Again, just because, you may think that Ebony and Jet are something, it's our mission to prove you wrong and to, again, make sure that we're moving Black forward. And cryptocurrency and NFTs and innovation like that is where our people need to be, and we plan to be that North Star.
That's really exciting. Now, here in that NFT space and crypto, I think Ricky and I had this conversation quite a bit. You're talking about being ahead of the trends and being on top of the trends. And we've been talking about crypto for so long, and now just seeing the excitement, the hotness around it is, we always tell people, don't stand by and watch it. Start getting involved and testing the waters and seeing about it, so you're able to take full advantage of it when it's in full force. And I think right now is a prime time to get involved with all those mediums, because the next 5 years, we're going to see these platforms being the standard.
Absolutely. I mean, look at Facebook. Now they're metaverse. And I know that's, thrown a lot of people, what in the world is the metaverse? Am I going to be walking around with a headset and, walking into walls and things like that? But how we're looking at, a giant like Facebook moving into a space
print alive, but only on a quarterly basis. So I think that'll be a cool opportunity for artists, NFTs, and the distribution of those types of art and things like that. That'll going to be really cool. Can you kind of speak to what you all's plans are for the print magazine?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I think tickles me the most to this day is the people that call the office asking for their subscription for Ebony and for Jets. And it's like, well, those haven't really been out for circulation for some time, but I love that you still want it. So we know that, again, there's a demand for you to feel and touch these brands. It means something to our community's core. It's been part of our community, giving us a lens as to what could be better. It's changed lives. One of my favorite stories to say when we first acquired Ebony and Jet was I was on a Zoom with this marketing agency, and there was a girl who had an ebony in the background. And she said that her grandfather had written in for one of the writing contests, and he won. And he won some automobile of whatever it was at the time, and he sold it in order to purchase a home, and that was the first home that their family ever owned, and it completely changed their family's trajectory. So naturally, right? Yes. So naturally, I kind of was like, oh gosh, what did I get myself into? But also it let you know the power of having ebony in someone's home and Jet. So we will print and find a cadence for that, because we know that not only do you want to see it on the digital space, but you also at times want to have it in your home in order to flip through. I mean, Emmett Till on the cover of Jet, what that image meant in order to not only see it, and you could see images online, but when you come in your home and you have to see what obviously racism and everything can do as far as having Emmett Till's picture on that Jet magazine, that's the power of what we feel when we actually print what we want to do.
So, and also moving forward with the magazines, okay, there were staples, like you said, page 43 of the
It's
Jet.
coming back, don't worry. We got plans for the Jet Beauties of the Week and some, men maybe, just saying.
Hey, I'm here for it. but yeah, so how do you plan on preserving some of those types of things like that in the magazines and moving those forward into the digital world?
Yeah, so I'll use Jet Beauty of the Week as the example, because if there's one question I get probably every week is, when are we bringing that back? And honestly, it's not just men, it's women as well, because I have met so many Jet Beauties of the Week. I mean, it is amazing the women that felt seen and that they were beautiful and that somebody wanted to capture them at that moment in their lives, and they wore it with pride. So for us, how do we, in a day and age where men and women are, and especially as African Americans, our bodies are overly sexualized, how do we not only show our beauty, but also show what's behind it? And for us, that's where we're ideating on, taking the things that you loved about Ebony, loved about Jet, but modernizing them and making our community lift itself up out of what others deem for us to be. And so taking something as funny as Jet Beauty of the Week, there is a space and there is a need for it in today. I have a young daughter. So the idea that maybe one day she'll be a Jet Beauty of the Week, because not only is she beautiful, but she has the brains behind it as well. So that's our mission.
Yeah, and I think it just provides a lot of opportunity to highlight, like you said, the community and the good work that people are doing, beyond, like you said, beauty. But yeah, I think that's one of the key things is preserving, like you said, some of the essence of those magazines and the history, and people being able to make those connections from the print magazine that they were getting weekly to the digital version.
Yeah, it's exciting to see doing both models, because I think it's so important, because like you said, that staple of having that physical copy in your hand is still there, but being innovative and really getting into more of that digital model. You touched on this earlier, speaking about corporations knocking on your door, Black is hot now. And if you look at traditional magazine media, like the ad engagement was much higher than any other content. And so now, how are you looking at that advertising now through this digital media? And I think it's a huge opportunity, but like you said, Black media is tough. So how do you
no matter if you were Black media or other, that people didn't want to spend money the same. They were nervous too, because again, we were living in unforeseen times. So for us, it's making sure that our business model is diverse. That's what happened to Ebony and Jet in the past. They were really singular in their operations. For us, you have to live and feel Ebony every single day, and it's on us to bring that to you. So whether it's making sure that we have advertising flowing through ebony.com, we have the commerce funding that, we have experiential. You know, we are looking to expand our footprint. You have Essence Fest with Essence Magazine, and you're able to go to New Orleans and while out and you know, do all that fun stuff, and you're able to experience it. And it's a huge money driver for their brand and brand marketing for advertisers to sink even more money with them. So for media, you can't just look at your business as, well, I only am going to do advertising model, because if that's what your plan is, you're going to be left in the dark. You have to be diverse in your business model.
I was just thinking just strategically, how does geography play like into your strategy, and how does Louisville kind of fit into that?
You know, well, I think everybody is hoping we bring Ebony Headquarters here to Louisville. But as far, you know, we have built a company in a way that we say Harvard is going to, well, not just Harvard, but Morehouse and Spelman and all the HBCUs are going to do case studies on us, because I have been in the same room with our CEO 8 times throughout this entire journey of building this company. There are employees that we have that I still have yet to ever physically see them, but they work for us. And that's, again, being able to look at your business different. We live, again, in that metaverse. Everything went from the boardroom to Zoom. So you have to be able to figure out a way to operate within the moment and the trends of where we are. Young people especially, and I call myself old now that I have a child, but they are wanting that freedom, that flexibility. So the idea of having to wake up and commute into a kind of normal cadence of a business is not going to serve us. So we have employees actually here in Louisville. There's a couple here. We have employees on the West Coast, down south, kind of all over, because we're about making sure we have the right talent and building our business on talent, not on some brick and mortar headquarters that we just want to feel good that you see Ebony here, but Ebony's going to be everywhere. Like I said, I don't need a headquarters in order to fill it.
As we get ready to open up for a couple of questions, Q&A with the audience. So if you have any questions, think about those now. I'll open those up. Ricky kind of touched on it already a little bit, just in Louisville. Just having your finger on the pulse culturally and a diverse and global aspect. Where are you looking at opportunities in Louisville and being back here more often and hosting events? What do you think is some opportunities that for not only Louisville as a city, but like entrepreneurs in the city as well?
I mean, honestly, what you guys are doing, if I would have known that this was available when I had just graduated, to come here and to network. I mean, honestly, as entrepreneurs, if you're not networking daily, again, you're going to be left behind, because our counterparts are doing it and they have been groomed since birth on how to network. And so for me, for this community and what my hopes are for coming back here and making sure that I'm part of the community here is honestly more events like this, more networks and chill, because these are going to be the moments where you might meet someone that's going to change your life. You might hear someone that gives you that courage to go out and explore your wildest dreams. So it's not anything more than honestly what this is, the community coming together and saying that we want to do better. Let's do it together because we can't all do it alone. And we'll see Louisville rise above the Chicagos and New Yorks because the people here have the talent. We just need to build a stronger community for the world to see.
Yeah, I love that. We see the momentum happening, so we are excited to be a part of that. So we really appreciate that. Any questions? Let's open it up. If you can stand up and just shout it out. So the question is, so as you grew your career, did you experience imposter syndrome? And if you did, how did you combat that?
You know, honestly, I don't know if I would call it imposter syndrome. I think, again, that's where society or others are saying what it means to be Black. And so there is this box that I need to fall into. I love opera music. I probably check off every box that is not deemed to be Black. So for me, it wasn't necessarily imposter syndrome. It was more the idea of allowing myself to dream it and allowing myself to go for it. The idea that we hold ourselves back because we allow society to tell us what and how and when we should do something. And this is not even imposter syndrome as far as the individuals that don't look like us. It's even within our own community, especially, that want to say, well, you aren't Black enough and you're not this and that. So for me, it wasn't what others were going to say. It was honestly myself holding back God's plan for me. And so again, being rooted in faith, I could care less what anybody else had to think. It was I following what God had in place for me? And if I'm doing that, that's all that matters.
Go ahead.
I'm a proud Kentuckian and I'm a writer. And so I've heard the announcement about the publication of being on writers, and I was totally excited. There is a wonderful budding community of Black writers in Kentucky. So my question is, what are the opportunities for local writers, Black writers, and Black creatives to be a part of the
Well, we started out with no team. So we want all of you all to be our team. I need writers. I need content creators. I need honestly everyone to want to be a part of this journey. So I would tell you all, send me a message. Reach out to, if you see anyone on LinkedIn that says they work for Ebony, send them a message. I try my best to respond to every DM, to every LinkedIn message. And again, nothing's going to hold you back except for yourself. Yes, society, there are going to be obstacles but that's where you have to be solution-based instead of saying the opportunity or the person is holding me back, go around them, because there's always another way to go around someone. So any writers or creators or anyone in here, I want to hear from you. And I truly mean that sincerely.
No, the power of LinkedIn, everyone. I'm telling you, LinkedIn is digital networking is the key. I live by it. That's how I meet everybody in this room, Eden included. Like, utilize your network. You can tell. On LinkedIn.
What are your plans to collaborate with media, stories, and personalities internationally?
So when I said that Ebony and Jet were global, that wasn't just me, talking fluff. It has been amazing to get messages from individuals from Brazil to on the continent, to Europe, to Asia, wanting us to bring these brands to them. Because one of the things I learned was you had family members that maybe lived summer overseas, and they would come visit family here in the US, and they would take Ebony and Jet back home. So even though that the publications may not have printed in those said companies, people know Ebony and Jet because of their family bringing it over. So for us, again, we know that these brands can be global, and we are just kind of building on taking them to across the world. It's actually what I spend a lot of my time going through trademarks and copyrights, which is entrepreneurs. If you don't understand trademarks and copyrights, you need to understand it because it can sink or swim your business very quickly. But making sure that our business is ready within going and taking our operations overseas. So wherever that person is asking, we hope to bring our operations to your country sooner than later. Because again, black is hot, so I want to be everywhere.
There we go. Yeah, one more in the front right here.
One of my fondest memories was attending the Ebony Fashion Fair fashion show. Are you looking or thinking about doing that?
So I can say this, and this is where trademarks and copyrights. So when we purchased Ebony and Jet, we bought intellectual property. And in that are a number of trademarks that allow us to do, whether it's Ebony magazine to print again, to have Ebony as in film and entertainment. One of the things, sadly, that was not part of the acquisition was the words fashion fair. So as you have seen, Fashion Fair come back with their line of products with Sephora, the Ebony Fashion Fair will not come back as Ebony Fashion Fair. Well, we can still do Ebony fashion shows. So our team is ideating on what is that experience of fashion shows. Black creators at Ebony Power 100, I had the opportunity to wear one of our most esteemed Black designers. And again, making sure that what fashion fair fashion shows were back in the day of bringing couture all around the country, we should do that, but we need to make sure it's our people that we see on the runway and not the Dior's and not the others, that we have plenty of couture within our community.
So I know you mentioned earlier about obviously you don't want to build everything purely on the advertising side, but I'm a firm believer, and I'm sure your family and obviously are as well, that as African Americans, we need more economic output. And so one of the things I think is amazing that Ebony and Jet brand thinks about is really bring that older group, bring the younger. Are you going to think about doing anything from the marketplace standpoint, where you allow Black creators and designers and things like that to be able to sell their wares? Obviously, with the pandemic, the ability to have storefronts change. I think the brand that we have will be so amazing that I don't think there's anything like that in the world that literally would be an African American marketplace for all wares. So just wanted to be on the business at all.
Well, are you reading my notes? Because yes. No, for anyone that wasn't able to hear the question, my answer as far as would Ebony be building a marketplace in order for creators to sell and to showcase their products? Absolutely, because is Amazon for us, by us? I don't think it is. So the idea, again, of these brands being strong enough to provide that home for us is what our mission is. And that's the reason why I wanted to come here. Is associated with it again, I would be very happy because I want to make sure that Ebony and Jet are a home for us to create things that we never imagined we were able to do. So yes, could I partner with an Amazon to do it? Absolutely, but I'm sure there's someone in STEM at an HBCU who could do it better and smarter than Jeff Bezos. They just might need the capital in order to do it.
All right, I got time for one more in the back there.
I think. I'm well. How are you?
Awesome. My name is Shoxiana Mosley. I am a freelance writer. I'm from here, went to UK, and
I'm sorry. I can't talk to University of Kentucky. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Come on now. Come on.
Shout out to BBN.
I'm sorry. No.
BBN.
No, you weren't bought. They invested in you because you were fabulous. So yeah.
Now I am a freelance writer. I've been published inside and outside of the United States. And I'm you guys. I had the hardest time finding a staff position as a gig worker. I currently work as a content writer for the 13 fastest growing advertising technology companies in the U.S., which is awesome. But like I said, I had a really hard time finding a staff position as a freelancer. So I wanted to ask you, when it comes to the background and professional and educational background for writers that you're looking for, are you looking for more traditional backgrounds, or are you open to people who kind of find their own way?
Well, I found my own way through this, and my background is not in media. So, the idea that you have to have a certain background in order to determine where you're going to go, I think is something, again, that holds us back. So if you're a dope writer, I want you to come and write for me. I don't care what your background is, because your writing is going to speak for itself. So, and again, it's the idea of us being able to take that noise, and that's, again, sitting and making sure you understand who you are and your gifts. And again, why I wanted to correct you in the sense of you being bought. No, you are fabulous. You better own it. You better walk it. You better show it. Exactly. And so if you do that, then you will be able to see the possibilities of where life is going to take you. And again, just because you haven't found it yet, that may be what God is wanting you to understand these lessons in this moment as he prepares you for probably something bigger and better than what you could ever dream. So stay to it and stay focused, but know that you already have it. It's on us as the world to recognize your greatness, not for you to tell us.
Thank you so much.
And with that, recognize your greatness. That's a word right there. I think that as we wrap this up, that's something that I would like everyone to to do. Recognize your greatness and how you can instill that in those around you in every moment that you have. When you walk out of here tomorrow, when you wake up, think about that, instill greatness in yourself, but also think about how you can share that greatness with other people. I'd like to say thank you all for coming out. Thank you, Eden, for being a part of this. And follow us on social. It's Network and Chill Event Series on Instagram. You can follow us on Discord. Join our Discord channel. We'll be having more events like this pretty much monthly. So like I said, thank you all for coming out, and see you next time.
Thank you all.